Okay, we're going to keep going on and we're going to go through the rest of the chords on this page. Next one is A minor. So we see there's a little 2 in the circle, that means second finger, and we can see that this is on the G string. So we'll go to the G string. Now those little circles above the grid, those mean that you're going to strum all those strings open. You can think of it as an O for open. Sometimes there will be chords where you want to strum only 3 strings or maybe 2 strings, but in this case, on all the chords on this page, we're going to strum all 4 strings. So we go to our middle finger, 1, 2, and we go to the 2nd fret, 1, 2 of the G string. And again, we have to make sure this finger curves all the way around all those other strings, and we only want it to touch that one string. So there's A minor. If you hear this, that means your finger is touching the string below. You want to lift it up so that it doesn't touch. A minor. So this is our first minor chord. Little M beside the A means minor. Minor often means sort of sad or maybe a bit more gloomy or mysterious chord. The other chords without the little M, those are just major chords. Happy chords. Major, happy, minor, sad. More on that later. Next one, A chord. So we need, again, 2 fingers. We need our first and second finger. First finger will be in the 1st fret of the C string. And second finger goes same place as it was for A minor. So what I like to do is find 2 chords that have really similar fingerings like that and just go back and forth. A minor to A. And I'm practicing just lifting off my first finger. Very subtle difference between those 2 chords, but it is different. And as you play, you will develop your ear and you'll start to hear those differences. Okay, next one is A7. Again, this has the same finger in the same spot as it did for the A chord. So we can just lift off our second finger. Now we're left with first finger, 1st fret. There's A7. Another 7 chord. All the chords with 7 has kind of like a little ring to it. To me, it used to sound like Christmas music. Very ringy. Let's continue on F sharp minor. So we can keep our first finger in that same spot that we had it in for A7 and A. And we can add our second finger to the 2nd fret of the G string and our 3rd finger to the 2nd fret of the E string. Little symbol is not a hashtag, it's not a pound sign, it's called sharp in music. F sharp minor. Let's go down to the next line. We have our G chord. We're going to take all our fingers off. First finger, second finger, third finger. This is a really, really good chord to know. You're going to see this chord a lot, so we're going to get really good at it. First finger goes in the 2nd fret of the C string. Good cats. And 2nd fret, good. Middle finger is going to go into the 2nd fret of the A string. So it's good just to test it. When you push it down, make sure everything is still clear, and then your ring finger, your 3rd finger, goes right in between those 2. It kind of makes a little triangle with the chords, and it goes on the 3rd fret of the E string. So once again, my wrist is straight, my thumb is supporting the chord in the back, and my fingers are all not touching any other strings. Okay, G7 is kind of like as if we flipped this across a mirror, and we're going to move our fingers. First finger goes in the 1st fret of the E string, 2nd finger, 2nd fret of the C string, and 3rd finger, 2nd fret of the A string. Really common chord, and you can hear it has that 7th chord, just like C7 and A7. Very ringy. And those 7s have a very specific purpose. We'll get into why those chords are called that way in many, many lessons down the road. For now, let's just play them and have fun. Okay, we've got another 7th chord. We have E7 this time. first finger, first fret of G string, second finger, second fret of C, and third finger, second fret of A. This is a pretty tricky one. They're starting to get a little harder at this point of the page. Again, if at any point this is too much, just stop the video, go practice the chords you already know. Okay, let's try E minor next. This one is called a staircase chord because your fingers kind of go up a string, over a string, up a string, over a string. We'll start on the second fret of the A string, then we'll move our second finger to the third fret of the E string, then we add our ring finger to the fourth fret of the C string. So we had 4, 3, 2 in the frets. Minor chord has that kind of sad. If I was going to write a sad song, I would start with a minor chord probably. Really cool chord, E minor. Next chord we have is D minor chord, another nice minor chord. Ooh. This chord is very similar to F chord. It's only one finger difference. So our D minor chord is first finger, first fret of the E string, middle finger goes on the second fret of the G string, and third finger, ring finger, goes on the second fret of the C string. It's really fun just to go back and forth. If you find a chord like that, like D minor and F, I'll just maybe strum 2 times on F, then I'll go to D minor. And it's nothing fancy, but I'm just practicing lifting off that finger and putting it back down. Another thing I think is a really good practice when changing chords is just going through the motions without even strumming. Just look at your fingers, just think about where is it going next. If I'm going from F to G7, I can think about, ooh, I get to keep that finger in the same fret, and I just move these 2 fingers down. And I'm going to do that motion back and forth a bunch of times. It's just like sports, how you practice your sports. Coordination, I don't know, finger exercises. The one after that we have is our D chord. The chart says finger 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3 in the second fret of the G string, C string, and E string. Beautiful. You can also do this chord with finger 2, 3, 4. I find this one's a little bit less of a squash to get them all in there. And you're going to quickly realize that the fingers that you use for a lot of these chords are not set in stone. You can play the C chord with your pinky if you want, or you can play with your first finger. Sometimes, depending on what chord you're going to or coming from, it just makes sense to play it with a different finger. So these are sort of the recommended ways to start. If you find it's really uncomfortable, again, I've said I've worked with so many different people who have different things with their wrist or their hand, and some fingers don't bend. If your first finger doesn't bend, then you don't need it. Always making adjustments for what works for you. Next chord we have is our D7 chord, another 7 chord on the page. And this is going to be first and second finger, it says. G string, second fret, and E string, second fret. Nice 7th chord sound. Cool. Now, again, you can use finger 1 and 3 if you want. Or you could use finger 2 and 3. It doesn't really matter for the sound of the ukulele, whatever's comfortable. And more importantly, it depends, a lot of time you'll find you'll go D, and then you go to D7. Case, just lifting off my middle finger is the best way to get there. And just going back and forth like that, that's awesome practice. I'm getting control of that one finger. There's not a lot of things in life where you have to control just your one ring finger. I can't think of a lot. So, it's a a whole new thing. Let's continue on to the last chord on the page. Now, warning, this is a very hard chord. For a total beginner, this is not necessary to learn this chord. I don't expect you to learn this chord for months on end. And to be honest, you can learn hundreds and thousands of songs without ever even having to play this chord. And it's hard and it's annoying and it's difficult, but you can do it. I know you can. The B flat chord. So the little tiny B, that's a flat. That's a symbol in music. We had F sharp above, and then we have B flat, sharps and flats. More about that later as we learn to read music. So it's not BB, it's B flat. So B flat chord is hard because for one, we need 3 fingers, and for 2, we need to push down 2 strings with 1 finger. And this is how we're going to start making this chord. We're going to push our fingers on this A string and the E string. Let's just make sure we can get those 2 notes first. Now we're going to add our middle finger to the 2nd fret of the C string. Good. Now we'll add our ring finger to the 3rd fret of the G string. Now this chord is awesome because since we're covering all 4 strings, we can move this chord all over the place. And it's the same shape, we just get to slide it around. B flat. So don't stress over it. Don't even worry about it. Just forget you ever saw it or heard about it until come back to this video in like 3 months. I just wanted to go through this whole page with you, and let's go through just all the chords one last time. I want you to try playing along. We're going to start at the top, we're going to go across and all the way down. So let's do C chord. We'll arpeggiate it first, and then strum it. C major 7 chord. C7, F, A minor, A, A7, F sharp minor, G, G7, E7, E minor, D minor, D, D7, B flat. So when you learn a new chord, the things you want to check for. Step 1, am I getting any buzzing or any dead notes on any of the strings? If so, readjust your fingers. Maybe push a little harder, make sure you're right in the middle of the fret, make sure your fingers are not touching any other strings other than the one that you're pushing down on. Other thing is just take your time, strum string by string on every chord. So I got a little buzzing, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to readjust. Okay, something else to be aware of. A lot of beginners, we really want to tip the ukulele back like this so we can see our fingers and see the frets. This is not good because then our wrist has to go out like this to get all the way around the neck. So I really want you to try keeping the ukulele right up against your belly and try to move your head around to see. You can tip it back a little tiny bit because this is a totally new thing. We're learning this new random thing with our fingers that we've never really done any other way in life. So tip it back a little bit if you need to see, get them placed, and then put your ukulele back nice and straight. Other things to think about. You want your wrist to be really straight, really relaxed. You don't want it all the way out like this. You don't want it up like that. You also don't want your thumb down here like that. That's a really bad habit to break if you do build up that habit. You want your thumb either in the back of the neck or sometimes maybe over top of the neck. And there I'm kind of just pushing right on the top a little bit, sort of with my knuckle. Your thumb will move on all the different chords. I would recommend choosing maybe 4 chords off this page that you think sound really nice and just mastering those chords. And if I could recommend 3, I would recommend C, F, and G7, because we're going to use those chords so much in the next few lessons. Those are your 3 holy grail of the chords. They're the Deathly Hallows of ukulele chords. Wow, Harry Potter reference. Okay. I've been spending too much time alone making these videos, but I hope you guys are appreciating them. Remember, if you do like it, you can subscribe to the channel, you can hit the like button, share it with someone who's been having some trouble with chords. And otherwise, great job. Keep practicing. Don't get discouraged. It's a totally new thing. It's a new language. Your fingers will hurt. Just take a little break. Just stretch them out. We'll talk about some different stretches you can do. But for now, remember to relax, readjust a little bit, keep holding it correctly, and just most of all, have fun. Enjoy it. See if you can make some cool sounds. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.